Hello, it's Wednesday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm Dave Williams. Glad to be here once again. I'm your host from findyournewnormal.com. Those of you that are regulars know that every Wednesday we come together to talk about all the various issues that cancer patients, survivors, and caregivers have to go through on this crazy journey of dealing with cancer. You know, we start off with that diagnosis phase. It's so scary and intimidating, and through the treatment process and into some kind of recovery, and then on to, the wellness and a sense of vitality that we struggle for. But there are lots of issues that we face. So every week I come on as the colon cancer survivor and look at the world through the cancer survivor perspective. And I'm lucky to have a co-host every week, Haley Dubin, who's somewhere on this screen. It changes whether you're live or on replay, so I'll point up, down, and around. But Haley looks at the world through the eyes of a cancer patient as well, but as a cancer recovery coach. So let me say hello to Haley, and Haley, say hello to everyone before we introduce our guest today.
Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day. I am an 18-year survivor of ovarian cancer, and I work with people who have finished treatment for cancer and have fear around recurrence. And I help them gain confidence that they'll remain healthy so they can go back to living their life with joy and vitality and peace of mind. So I'm really happy to be here with everybody and looking forward to a great show.
And I'm glad to have you back because you've been traveling and doing some things that you weren't there beside me. I felt so alone. It's so nice that you're back in the seat with me. So particularly when we're bringing on some more exciting guests. So thank you for coming back.
Absolutely.
And somewhere on the screen again, and on mine, it's up in the top right-hand corner. We've got two fantastic, the dynamic duo, I've come to think of them as, is Becky Olson and Sharon Henifin of breastfriends.org. And I've just got to say, I've been so pleased to have met them and talked to them because they're kindred spirits. They also, and they'll explain in just a minute, are cancer survivors. And for 16 years, they've been working in the field trying to help breast cancer survivors. And they also have a radio show every week, which is how I found them, and listen to the message that they bring, which is so uplifting and motivational. So welcome to you, Becky and Sharon. It's so great to have you with us today.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very excited to be on your show today. So thanks for inviting us.
It's great when I meet kindred spirits. There's a few of us now that are playing with the new technologies. And for those in the audience, don't get frustrated if the screen goes blank or hackers come in. This week has been a terrible production week for Blab, and they've had all kinds of problems with their technology because they've been trying to keep the hackers and trolls away. It was just an amazing attack on them earlier in the week, and they've been tweaking their software, and some of our shows aren't working. And I know some of you went to the homepage, CancerCoach.net, and you couldn't get there, but some of you are finding us as you search around. The linkages aren't there, and the broadcast may fail, but the four of us will be with you through the storm today.
Yes, we will. Definitely.
And look, we've got Aileen in. Hey, good to have Cancer Harbors with us. It's great. We've got some of our friends showing up, and when we open up the camera seat, we'll hopefully get some dialogue rolling along. As everyone knows, we have sort of a dialogue at the beginning, and we ask you to type your questions along the side so that we can see what are the issues that you'd like us to explore. Normally, you put a /Q, and then we see the question, but it ain't working today. So I tested that out too. But if you can put in, /Q, at least I'll know that there's a question, and we'll be able to pop that up on the screen, and we'll be able to respond. And then we'll open up the window so that we'll have our fourth window that you can come on and interact with us all. So We've all been through the cancer hurricane, and that's the worst thing we've ever gone through. So dealing with technology, nothing. Don't worry.
Kind of minimizes it, doesn't it?
It sure does. So let's move over to today's topic, and I just loved it. You know, finding the twinkle is possible even when you've got cancer. And I feel like Santa today because I just love the twinkle in Santa's face, and it just brings up so many positive images to me when I think about it. So let me pass the microphone over to you, Becky and Sharon. I know you're sharing one over there. Maybe you could introduce Breast Friends and yourself to our audience. They probably don't fully understand all the things that you're doing and this tremendous journey you've been on for about 16 years. So over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Okay, we'll try to give you the short nutshell version because we can talk for hours
we'll go on
that.
Forever. Unlike your show, I can go on for 3 hours. We have no limit, no sponsorship. We can roll and go till our audience disappears.
Awesome. Well, I'm Becky. I'm the one I'm talking. You can see the pink headset. That would be me. And I'm a 3-time breast cancer survivor, diagnosed the first time 20 years ago in April. And then again, a couple more times since then. But we started Breast Friends. Well, I'll let Sharon say who she is first, and then we'll tell you how we started Breast Friends.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm a 23-year breast cancer survivor. So I was diagnosed at 40, did kind of the normal stuff, lumpectomy, then a mastectomy, reconstruction, chemotherapy. Yeah.
We always kind of comment, Sharon only had to go through it once, where I went through it 3 times, but she had to go through it first. And going through it first, when you have your circle of friends who have no idea what to do.
No clue.
Pretty tough. So I was diagnosed 3 years after her, and we were friends at that time. And she was such a trooper to help me the way she did. And it's because she didn't receive the kind of support that she needed. I did what so many people did. They would say, and I would say to Sharon, let me know if there's anything I can do to help. And she'd say, okay, thanks.
Yeah, fine, I will. And I didn't.
It's easy sunshine. So I made the mistake of thinking, well, she must be okay because she hasn't called. And I know she had a husband and children at home, and I assumed that they were taking care of her, but they weren't. And so many people say those exact same words, let me know if there's anything I can do. And then expect the patient to actually do that. But that's part of why we started Breast Friends. Probably the main reason initially was because we figured out several years later, as we were having one of those kind of come to Jesus meetings about why did we go through all this? We sort of figured out that we needed to do something to help the patient by teaching the friends and family how to offer support that's effective and meaningful. So that's kind of where it started.
Yeah. And then it's evolved obviously over the last 16 years to incorporate a lot of one-on-one programs, group programs. We do workshops. We do really customized support system really in some ways, because one person might need a lot of hand holding all the way through treatment. And others we may not even meet until after they finish treatment. And then they're in that state where Kayla, you were talking about it earlier, where, oh my gosh, what do you do now with this diagnosis and treatment? You're done with that, but then you have to tweak your life and trying to figure out, who you are after all of that. And so, yeah, it's really encompasses all of that. So from date of diagnosis all the way through treatment and then many years later.
So really you work with the friends, family, as well as the...
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the ways we reach the friends and families, we actually try to reach them before they even know that they have this need in their lives, because eventually everyone's going to know someone who's battling cancer.
Yeah.
Some will know it right now. Some will have known somebody and did what we did, let me know if I can help you. But if we can get that message communicated before they need help, that's even better. So one of the things that we also offer is programs out in the community where we offer presentations at civic clubs and things like that, where we kind of share that story and how to offer it proactively. So,
right.
And always there's somebody in that audience that's dealing with it right now. Almost every time someone will come up afterwards and say, you really made me feel guilty because I've got a neighbor, a cousin, somebody who's going through this. And that's exactly what I said. So I'm going to, how do I call back and like not feel bad? And so I'd give them advice on how just, you know, I was at a meeting, I thought about you, and I just wanted to call you and, you know, tell you how sorry I am that I've kind of been out of your life for a while. What I want to do something for you. Do you need groceries? You know, just let them know that you were thinking about them as you heard this presentation. And it's amazing how all that kind of negative worry and guilt and all that stuff just goes away once that contact is made. It can be hard though to pick up the phone. Don't you agree?
Oh, it's absolutely hard because again, we don't know what to say, we don't know what to do proactively. We don't want to like, you know, interfere in their life, but at the same time, there are many things you can do proactively. And it's almost like a little sales presentation, you know, you kind of give them the either or kind of idea. So, you know, hey, I was going to, you know, make a pot of spaghetti tonight, you know, can I bring it over Wednesday night or Thursday night? You know, that kind of thing. You know, don't give them a yes or a no.
Like, more, can I make dinner for your family? Because they'll go, oh, that's so sweet, but we're fine, really. Yeah. And they're not.
They'll say no, you know, but really having something healthy around, maybe spaghetti's not the best choice, but that was what came to mind. But again, making sure you're giving them healthy options, or we actually have a great brochure we call Tips to Show You Care. And it absolutely gives like a concrete list of things that they can do to help. And we have the kind of the social friends and, you know, people that aren't maybe in the very close, intimate situation. And then we have kind of the honey-do list for the partners or husbands. And so the husbands love that because it's like, oh, I can do these things. You know, it's very helpful to just give them something concrete that they can do.
One of my favorite ones on the honey-do list is clean the toilet, especially on chemotherapy days. And where that came from is on my first day of chemo, my husband we have 3 toilets in our house, and my husband was cleaning all 3 of them, and which was rather unusual for him to do that. Not that he's not a helper, but you know, that was unusual. So I said, honey, what are you doing? And he says, well, you might be hugging these later, and I don't want them to be nasty.
It would. Wow.
Totally warmed my heart, you know, and
brownie points.
Yeah. And I don't think that's probably something that most spouses or partners would think about, but it's true. You don't want that to be a problem. So just things like that. Some of them are practical, some are more emotional. Like back when I went through it the first time, and Sharon as well, you know, text messaging was not in existence. Well, it is now. And one of the great fears of a cancer patient that we have is we're home alone and life is going on and we're not in it right now. And when you have a spouse or partner that goes to work and you don't hear from them all day, you kind of can get sad and kind of lonely. So just a quick text, you know, hi, honey, I was just thinking about you. I hope you're able to smile today, you know, or something, just to let them know that they're being thought about. And it's huge. It's such a little thing, but
how did it all begin? I mean,
so important.
You know, you were survivors, you were friends.
Well, it started over lunch. And Dave, you froze on our screen. I don't know if you're still talking. Is he talking? Uh-oh. He'll be back.
He'll be back. Yep.
He'll be back. So we'll go ahead and answer that. But we, after my diagnosis, and it was 4 years later, Sharon and I were up at the hospital having lunch at the cafe, and we were kind of just asking ourselves why. You know, why did we both get diagnosed with cancer and survive? Why did we stay friends? And you know, we both believe that things happen for a reason, and we felt there had to be some reason that all this was taking place. So we had one of those conversations that day, and we thought, well, maybe we're supposed to put our heads together and come up with some tool, some way to support cancer patients and make their journeys easier. And the one thing we really felt is that we needed to get connected, because our hearts were connected through this journey, that if we could connect to other women's hearts too at the same time, that's what we thought was kind of missing. And so we met every week for a year.
Yep.
And I'd like to emphasize that we gave this little talk the other night, but we only had 5 minutes between us. So, but now we have would you stay 3 hours? So no kidding. No. But seriously, this is so funny because we had this initial idea of teaching friends and family, right? We met every week for a year, and I'm talking every week. So how many weeks would that be? 52, right? 52 meetings that we did this every week for a year, where we talked and we strategized about what Breast Friends would look like. We already had the website registered. We had the URL, the name registered. Now we're just trying to figure out what the program would look like. So remember, every week for a year is how many weeks? 52, right? So at the end of that, we're at the Komen Health Expo here in Portland. They do a health expo before the Race for the Cure. And we're sitting at our booth, and we had the 6-foot table, and I'm at the left end and Sharon's at the right end, and her husband's sitting behind us folding brochures off of our computer, and he's listening all day long. And all day long, people would walk by, and we'd say, "Have you heard about Breast Friends?" And they'd say, "No." And we'd take turns telling them. I'd say, "Well, it's that we do this," and Sharon would get her group, and she'd say, "Yes, and we do this." And at the end of the day, tell them what Vern said.
Well, my husband goes, "Do you realize you're actually telling two different stories?" And we looked at each other like, what? How could that possibly be?
52 weeks.
How could that possibly be true? And come to find out, because Becky, again, was the friend.
The failed friend.
Well, no. But the friend
Felt like it at the time.
who, didn't feel like she'd stepped up when she realized after she was diagnosed. And I was the patient. So from her perspective, she just wanted to make sure that we were educating every single one of those friends and family to make sure that they never did what she did. And I was the patient who wanted to make sure that if they didn't have friends and family that were stepping up to it, or you just needed to talk to a survivor, because again, no matter how wonderful your family is and your friends, they've still never been there. They don't really know what's going on. And so I was making sure that those people got connected. And so that's the two different things. But really, Breast Friends is all of that. Right. But we were definitely communicating it in a different way. So it did come across as two different messages, but it was pretty funny. It was a good aha moment for both of us to kind of go, oh, I guess it is both, but we do come from a different perspective. And so that makes sense.
And there's nothing wrong with that, And I think in life, people tend to be drawn toward what they're passionate about. And like Sharon just described, I was passionate toward making sure the friends and family were effective in what they did. And Sharon was passionate about making sure the patients didn't go through it alone, even if they didn't have them.
And we also had two different ways of kind of delivering that message, because Becky can speak to a group of 1,000 people, and she's happier than
the more the merrier.
The more the merrier. Where I'm more a one-on-one kind of, because I'm a life coach as well, or a workshop environment, so a small group is good for me. I mean, I can do a larger group, but that's not really my Twinkle, as we said.
And I can talk one-on-one, but I shine much
you're not
greater
just local, right? I mean, one of the things I saw is that although you're there in Oregon, you now have regional groups in different states. Where are you, and how the heck did you expand into different places in the U.S.?
Well, we figured out real quickly that it's not exactly the perfect model to replicate, but we do have amazing women in Pennsylvania and in Florida who have taken on our model and are doing it. But it is honestly hard to, when you're passionate about something, you can really jump in with both feet. But putting together all of the pieces for a nonprofit organization, that means the fundraising and the administrative stuff and blah, there's a lot to it. And so you really do have to have a lot of different skill sets to be able to pull an actual affiliate together.
And then every state has different guidelines and different rules around fundraising. So we kind of figured out that too, that, we in order to try to make it work, every state they have to take responsibility for their own paperwork and getting their own tax ID. They live under our umbrella of our organization, our 501c3, but in the beginning, people were calling us because we'd say, if you'd like to be an affiliate, let us know. And we were getting those calls 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah, not so
but
much.
nobody wanted to fundraise. They wanted to start an affiliate. They wanted us to fundraise and then send them all the materials. Well, when you fundraise in a state, people like their money to stay local.
Yeah.
And so we figured that's not probably the best plan. So we've changed the guidelines, and now we get 1 request a year, and so which is okay. It's
so because when you're grassroots, I mean, we literally started this from the lunch table, just from the ground up. And we've had to figure out a lot of things as we go. And luckily we're doing something right. Obviously, we've been around now for 16 years,
right.
but again, it was a learning for us. And,
that's the
and
point
we're
that I'm
learning every
hoping
day.
the audience picks up, because it's always
do.
interesting to look at, a powerful success story, which is so clearly yours. But it's the Twinkle that got me, and that's why I love, that's our theme today, is because you've ridden that Twinkle. That star has been shining based on that passion that you had. And for those in our audience, and I know some of our audience are listening to us and watching us in their hospital bed, in home care, and the Twinkle isn't very bright for them. And what I'm trying to show is that you can survive the greatest of hurricanes, rebuild and move forward. And Sharon and Becky, are not just looking for a pat on their back. This success story is showing what you can do as a survivor to make a difference for other people and have that Twinkle and just keep on moving forward.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be that you start something from scratch like we did.
And it doesn't have to be cancer-based. It can be completely unrelated to your cancer journey.
And so that understanding that you can hook your self to somebody else's shirt tail, and you can really accomplish what God has in mind for you. I mean, I guess, many of us really don't know what our strengths are. And I think that's one of the things that we talk a lot about at Breast Friends, is understanding what your strengths are, what your values are. And then if you're connecting those together, you will figure out what exactly you're passionate about. And then making small steps to put a little bit of that passion into your life every day makes so much difference. And then you, like you were said, Haley, find the joy, right?
This is just a tremendous conversation. I'm going to go back to Haley because I know she's got a question for it, but I'm going to open up the seat in case somebody wants to start to join with us, because I see that Carrie from Healing Boobies is in the audience. And while she was a great guest, she's been building a health program and an AV program and support system for breast cancer survivors. And I'm hoping that she feels comfortable to come on air. Wonderful. Because the two of you will be great role models for what Carrie has been doing. And because she has the passion, she has the Twinkle, and she is making a difference with, well over 1,000 women in her group that she's spending a lot of time working with. So I hope she doesn't get uncomfortable, and we'll come on and say hello and get to meet you. Now
we don't bite. We don't bite, honest.
Throw a little lipstick on it.
Does wonders. Just jump right in.
I didn't put any on. Look at that. I'm no lipstick.
So my question was, if there's someone in Cleveland and they want your help, can they get help?
Absolutely. Yes. We actually have a hat program that has just really taken off. We have these cute little baseball caps with fun designs on them. One says, "Has anyone seen my hair?" HARE, with a little bunny rabbit poking up behind this bald-headed woman. And the other one says, "Temporarily bald, permanently beautiful," which is lovely as well. And they both come in teal for ovarian cancer, and that's kind of our symbolic thing for women's cancers. And then, of course, pink for breast cancer. So we send those all over the country. So through our website, people can order a free hat, and it says right there, do you want us to contact you? And so if they want us to contact them, we're more than happy to do that. And again, whether it's one phone call or our MO is generally to keep checking in every few weeks or every week, or, again, it depends on the person, what they really are looking for. But just getting their permission to continue to support them in the way they need to be supported.
I just looked away to see if our 800 number was on the wall. It was not, but you can find our 800 number through our website. I just don't know what it is.
And you can type it in the text chat so that it's there for perpetuity. And Haley will just type in breastfriends.org so that they can get to your site.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, and that's the best way, because if you do that, then we've got a paper record of the request. So that's actually the best way to do it. So, but yeah, so that all started from our hat project. We had that going for years because of something that somebody gave me in my journey before we started Breast Friends. And it's funny, that's one of the things that, when we think about Twinkle, it doesn't have to be something even big. And hold on a second. We're having a little sound adjustment here. I can't hear myself at all now. So, okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So anyway, it doesn't have to be something big. I love this quote by Mother Teresa. It's not that we do great things. It's that we do little things with great love. And sometimes people will twinkle because they're able to do small things. Like Sharon said, you don't have to start something. You don't have to, do that. You can connect to somebody through some little individual. And that giving spirit is a twinkle for some people. You can always tell when someone's twinkling because they talk about something and their eyes light up. And that's kind of where that comes from,
Right.
And people twinkle over different things, so whatever it is that makes your heart happy is part of what you're supposed to be doing. And so we really stress that. And some of our volunteers are with us because they twinkle as a volunteer, and we can do what we do without them. So, it's huge. And there's so many things that we can do, and so many ways people can be
I've just got to ask, because my twinkle, obviously, I love broadcasting. I've never been on air, and here we've done a year and a half of this, and I just love it so much. I got to ask, why did you decide to get your podcast going? You had a really great support group, a training program, support program. You were doing everything so well. And then you said, I think we'll just go on Voice of America and we'll start podcasting.
Well,
where did that come from?
Well, they actually reached out to us and said that they'd heard about us and wanted to see if we might be interested. So we went online and listened to a few of the shows that are on there, and some of them are pretty good. Some of them were thinking, we could probably do that.
We could do better than that.
Better than some. So we didn't say that out loud. But we decided that we would, try. So we're still looking for sponsors so we can keep it going. But we love it, and we have guests every week, and we always try to keep it light and conversational, like what we're doing here right now. Just try to keep it fun and light and provide information. And some of our guests are a little more serious than we are, so we try to interject a little humor here and there, But we have a lot of fun with it. We don't have the video component, which I have to admit I kind of like to be able to see faces, but we do it through Skype, and it's just Skype audio, but it works really well. And so it's on voiceamerica.com. We're on every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And all you have to do is go to voiceamerica.com and then click on the health and wellness icon. And the show comes up right away, whatever's live at that time. So we love to have people listen in. Our show this week, on Friday, we're going to be talking about ovarian cancer. We have a doctor on with a very cool name. His name is Dr. Fabio Cappuccini.
That's great.
Isn't that a great name?
I know. Isn't that great?
We picture him on a romance novel or something.
I know.
But he's been a gynecological oncologist for many years. Sharon heard him speak at a conference recently. And what was your impression of him, Sharon? Do you mind just sharing a little bit?
Well, you got to remember that Becky and I just went to Italy
did, yes.
End of August, 1st of September. So, we kind of got Italy on the brain anyway. Yeah. And you've got this lovely man with his amazing name, and he's from Italy, of course. And so I was just like, okay, we need to
come on our show. So he'll be our guest on Friday, and he'll be on for the whole show, I do believe. So it'll be a great show. Sharon's going to do that one with our co-host Yvonne, because I'm going to be in California giving a speech to a Christian conference, and So I'll be there doing that. And that's kind of where I get a lot of my twinkle too, is standing up in front of groups and doing that kind of thing. So I have to relinquish my headset.
Which is hard.
It is hard. It's pink. I love it.
What are like the most common themes when you work with a client? What do you see regularly in terms of something they're struggling with?
Well, the fear of recurrence is probably the worst because, again, here they've gone through this, and many times it could be months or even years of treatment and reconstruction and just this whole long, arduous process of getting through their cancer. And so then when they're done, they really connected, of course, with the medical team and the doctor, it's time to say, okay, you're done. Yay. See you in 3 months. And they're like, oh, wow. Now what do I do? Yeah. And it's a frightening, even though it's, you so want to hear those words, you don't know what to do with them when you hear them.
Yeah. So Sharon developed a program that we offer through Breast Friends called Thriving Beyond Cancer. And it's a 2-day workshop or a 3-day retreat that we offer. And the retreat is really cool because it's at a beach house and, everything's included. And they really have a chance to kind of get all that stuff out of the way and then start thinking about what they want to do with their lives going forward. So it's a really cool thing. But the other thing that we hear when they call when they're early on is they're so scared they're going to die. Yeah. And they haven't come to terms. I mean, sadly, a lot of women will die from breast cancer and ovarian cancer. We don't know who it's going to be, and they don't know who it's going to be. I remember when I was diagnosed, I was given a 60% chance to survive past 5 years my first time. I had no idea if I was going to be in the live or die group. I didn't know. And you don't know. And so when you start down that path, you've got a lot of fear just about, am I going to live? Who's going to raise my kids? All that stuff. So oftentimes we're able to kind of just, hi, Dave, you're back. So we're able to kind of relieve some of those fears and, let them know, when they hear that we're both survivors. Sharon's a almost 23-year survivor, and they find out I've been through it 3 times, and they go, oh my gosh, and you're still here? That brings hope to a lot of people. Oh, yeah. And even though my diagnosis got worse each time, now they can find no evidence of cancer.
Oh, good for you.
People really like hearing those things because it gives them hope.
No doubt. And you just both have such a spunk about you.
Now you know why I called them the dynamic duo.
Well, really helpful.
I don't think we've been called that, but I think we should.
That's good. Yeah, we like it. We like it. Yeah.
What I want to see is the pair of them with Ryan and Jesse the week after next, because they've got spunk. I mean, they've got sass. So the 4 of them on air is going to be a show
it'll be
that'll
fun.
blow your
I'm
mind.
sure.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
The one thing I wanted to talk about too is when a woman is diagnosed with cancer, and again, I don't know if it's this woman thing, or maybe Dave, you can talk to this too from your perspective, but it seems as if as a woman, we spend a lot of our time minimizing what we're going through so everyone else is comfortable. Right?
Yeah, that's the truth.
We I'm going to be fine. We talk about, people are like giving you the pity eyes and all this kind of stuff. And you're like, you're having to tell them you're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. But inside you have no clue that you're going to be fine. And in fact, you wake up at 2:00 in the morning worrying about if you're going to be fine.
Right.
So, I think that's one thing that women at least do a lot. And so then having Breast Friends, or an organization where you can talk to women who've been around, who've done this, who've gotten through it, they can be honest. They can really tell you how they're really feeling rather than minimizing what they're going through. And of course, I get people when I'm talking to people on the phone and they're doing the I'm fine thing. I'm going to do, I'm like, no. I mean, I call them on their crap.
Let's be real now.
And it's funny because then they'll kind of laugh and they'll kind of go, well, yeah, and so then they can be real and they can cry with us. They can laugh with us. We can talk about the really icky, serious stuff, but in a way so it's not quite so scary. The reality is we do have women that are diagnosed metastatic every day and or recurrence, it's metastatic. And when you're dealing with those situations, it's death and money and sex are still three things that are hard to talk about. And the reality is we're all going to die, but we don't know how or when, and none of us have a expiration date stamped on the bottom of our foot. And so even if you get really crummy news, we've got stories, we've got ways to talk to people that will make them feel like, okay, I can do this.
Right.
I'm gonna, do the best I can. And again, we really push quality of life and making sure that they're not just living their cancer, that they're actually having some quality of life while they're going through these things, and keep planning things and doing things. And if you have to cancel because it's not a good day for me, then it's okay. It's okay to do that.
And, Dave and Haley obviously know what metastatic, cancer means. But for those in the audience who might be listening who don't really know what that is, it's when the cancer has spread, and usually it's stage 4. It's gone into some vital organ, and it's really hard to cure. In fact, they kind of say it's not curable, but they can oftentimes treat it with medications and chemo that can keep your life going for a long time. It's oftentimes treating it like you would if you had diabetes. You have to take insulin. So, sometimes that is also, it becomes a lifestyle, and you live with it, but it's a quality, not quality. What's the word I want? It's just a maintenance issue at that point. So even then it can be very scary in those words, hearing it. When I heard my third time, they called it consistent with metastatic disease. That was frightening to me because I'd already had it twice and it was advanced both times. And I thought, okay, this could be it. And, we dealt with it then and now there's no evidence of it. Doesn't mean it won't come back someday. It might. There could be some slow growing little cell in there that's just trying to decide what it wants to do, and it may come back in some crazy place, and, I'll deal with it again if it does, but today I'm fine. So, and sometimes we just have to.
And I think your family has to understand that. Certainly my family and myself before cancer, Dave BC, as I call it, before cancer, was really a lack of understanding of cancer as an ongoing illness, if you will. I thought, you got it, you cured it, you moved on with life. And turns out for many, many people, cancer in various stages stays on for years and years, if not their complete life. And there's a need to create, as I've called it, the new normal. You have to find your new normal as a patient, but also your family. And, even though the oncology team says, this breast cancer issue is under control, it may be back in a number of different shapes and forms, and the family and the support network have to understand that, because as we've said on previous shows, a lot of people just disappear. They say, well, you've been taken out of the hospital and now you get on with going back to your life. Well, you never go back to your life. You have to build a new life. Your support network disappeared. That's your family may not be there. And that's why these shows that you do and what we're trying to do is to share that information, that this is an ongoing journey. And, I know some people want to call it a battle. We had a really great show on, is it a journey or is it a battle? You can take a perspective. I like the idea that it's both. And depending on where you are, you're going to need the sword and you're going to need the shield. And, you can be Sinbad fighting the one-eyed Cyclops, and other times, you're back in there on the ship and moving forward the best you can, but looking out for the cataracts. Cataracts, I've got those now. The It's not one thing.
Man,
or
if it's
the
not
other.
one thing, it's
And,
another,
you know,
right?
that's why I get mail. Is Dave, you share too much about my journey because it's an ongoing journey. It started off simple, and every month it gets more complicated and more complicated. And you know, I found a way of keeping it in balance. I can have my Twinkle. I can make a difference. I can live the life that I want today and not worry about what happened years ago or what may happen in the future. You just learn a new style of living, and man, does that make a difference for you as a survivor and for your family once they get into this new way of thinking.
Yep. No, I agree.
And I think some sense of fear is okay because it makes you move forward and you know, make healthy changes that you might want to make or be in a better relationship. It's just when you let it paralyze you, I think that's when it becomes
and
a problem.
boy, isn't that the truth. And I think that's one of the, when you talk about what are some of the issues, that's one of them. I mean, you know, when you get that diagnosis, you can feel very paralyzed and just not have a clue, you know, what to do or able to do it, even if you did know. And one of the other things that I wanted to just mention, kind of going back to when your treatment is done, one thing that also is a factor is when you're done with chemo and radiation, and like the last day of treatment, people celebrate that day and they're saying, oh, it's my last chemo.
Right,
and then they go home and they go, yay, mom's done with chemo. What's for dinner? And, you know, it takes a long time to wear that stuff out of your system. And so my suggestion when they get that question from their family is, I don't know, what are you fixing? You know, drop it back on them because, you know, it can take months to get rid of all the effects of chemo and the radiation, some of the burning that some women experience from radiation, that can continue the sunburn can continue to build even when you're done with treatment.
Oh, yeah.
And it gets worse before it gets better. So it doesn't just stop because you're done with treatment.
No.
And then when you do finally return to normal physically that way, you're still not normal. And that kind of goes into that next phase that we talked about. So, you know what I love about this program? We can read the little notes from people on the side. It's really cool.
I
So,
like it.
yeah, I love it. Like Revive Wellness wrote, great,
Well, it
agree.
happens to be
Thank
Haley,
you.
so she's already on your
So
side.
keep those comments coming. Oh.
But Aileen is there.
Okay.
And Aileen is in charge
still
of
love
Cancer
it.
Harbors, and the two of you are going to have to meet because she's got a very innovative program.
Awesome.
And, you know, she's got, you know, a lot to say and a lot of things that she's doing that would fit in.
Good.
In fact, she wants to come on now. So we're going to, there she is.
Oh, there
Hey.
she is. Hi.
Hey, I'm glad you came on.
You have?
I've seen you before. I have. I'm not sure where, but I recognize your face. So
How fun.
Yeah.
Have you been to conferences?
Probably not,
Maybe.
but I've been online and I've been promoting my my business with Cancer Harbors. Yeah.
Oh, good.
And I've been on the website. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
nice to meet you.
wonderful. Well, yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you.
plugging in. This is great.
So did you have a question specifically
Actually, I
for
do have
us,
a
or are you?
question. Yeah, I've been listening to everything you're saying, and it's just resonates with everything that that I've been working on, and what so much of what we've talked about here, and I mean, it just goes on and on. It's just so wonderful. What I'm curious about is
Great.
when
Thank
you talk about getting the word to people, getting out the word to people about this, whether they think they need it or not, or before they actually need it. I'm curious how you go about doing that, because I'm just interested from, of course, a marketing perspective from, coach, but also I mean, educating the public, I think, is so important, because so much fear around cancer comes from not knowing, and people are just completely overwhelmed when obviously when anything comes up, even if it's not them, I mean, if it's their family member or their friend, people just don't know what to do.
Right.
And so I'm wondering how
That's exactly
what do you
right.
think is the best way to reach the general public as far as
Well, one of the services we do offer, as we were talking about earlier on in the show, one of my things I like to do is speak in front of groups and, larger groups and sometimes smaller ones too. But I've reached out through the Rotary clubs here in Portland, and it's District 5100. There's about 75 clubs. I've spoken at about a third of them, no, more than a third, almost a half of them. And so I speak at all the different Rotary clubs. I'm registered on their speakers bureau, so that because they all need speakers every week. Every club needs a speaker. So it's just getting on their agenda so I can do that. Getting into any women's sorority groups, just letting them know that you're available for speaking. These are not paid events. They bring in speakers, but if you let people know that you're available to speak at those events, they'll get to you eventually because they all need them all the time. So Lions groups, sorority groups, any of those, any kind of women's organizations. But the Rotaries are great because then I can talk to the men about cleaning toilets on chemo days, which they seem to enjoy that, and so that's just one of the ways that we do it. That's probably the most effective way to get into the small group, settings like that. So
we do health fairs and things like that as well, but you only have a short window to talk about that. And then of course we give out our brochures a lot for that, that have the tips to show you care. So they have that concrete piece that they can use if it does happen to them, or they can pass it on to their friend or relative who's maybe dealing with it. And honestly, I deal a lot with the patients myself, and part of it is educating them that it is okay to ask for help. And, literally to put a list of maybe chores or, things, errands, things like that they can maybe help. Because once you're caught on the spot when you're on the phone and maybe a neighbor calls and say, oh, I'd really love to help. What can I do? And you're like, I don't know, and that's when you do your fallback thing. I'm fine. I'll be, whatever. Instead, if you have a list of actual things that, you could, Debbie goes to soccer at the same time. So maybe you can take my daughter to soccer, or, if there's a post office errand that they can run, or if they can go get groceries for you, or all, these kinds of things. So sometimes just being, proactive from the patient's perspective or the patient's family's perspective. I've said that to husbands many times, put a list of the things that maybe you need help with or the rest of the family needs that can be helpful. When somebody calls, you can actually have it right at your fingertips.
Yeah. And again, we have that brochure that's loaded with ideas like that. So if anybody needs one of those, we're happy to mail one. I think those ideas are also repeated on our website. There's a friends and family tab, and it's got all kinds of ideas of things that people can do proactively to offer support. So
like I went wig shopping by myself, and that was the worst thing you could possibly do, because number one, I have a little bitty head, those wigs, and I don't have a lot of hair. And so it felt like this helmet, and I was
and worried. No one to tell her the truth. And so I could have made it a very fun, kind of silly experience rather than, oh, poor me, I'm going to go get a wig, kind of thing. Why didn't you call me?
I don't know.
See, that happens.
We just don't.
We were friends and she didn't call me. So
and so it's one of those things. So again, just kind of being aware. If you're a friend that knows, oh, you're probably going to lose your hair because she's going to have to go through chemo, well, then offer to go wig shopping, or have a hat shower. That's a fun thing to do. Put on a big party about, everybody brings over a fun hat or a nice scarf or, something like that. And so you're making it a fun occasion rather than being a dreaded thing. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And I love it. Oh, I'm sorry. I just love the fact that you said you help the survivor ask for help, because I think that is a big thing. They don't know how to ask for help. They don't want to ask for help. Yeah. And if they can organize exactly what they want and need, that helps their caregiver
Yeah.
so much.
Absolutely. Exactly. Because again, the caregiver has no clue.
Nope,
and
they don't.
you know, depending on the relationship of that caregiver or that person that's closest, yeah, it can make a big difference in simplifying that person's life.
Haley, when I was kicked out of the system for the third time, did you answer Mike's question of who is Becky and who is Sharon?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm Sharon.
That's right.
with
You're
the
both
blue.
blue.
Well, we're
Yeah.
both wearing blue.
Yeah,
I'm Becky, and I got the pink headphones
Yeah.
on.
As we told everyone, there's a Blab problem. I keep getting messages. Blab can't connect. Sorry, we're page blah
Yeah.
blah blah. But it's it keeps trying to keep us all together as a family. Eileen just disappeared. So I mean, it's
I do see a note on here that says to go to breastfriends.com. It's actually breastfriends.org. Yeah, .com will work, but we're getting
Got
it
it.
from there.
I'll do that again.
Yeah, so it's .org. Yeah,
Yep.
thank you.
So shall we get back to the Twinkle part?
An interesting
Love the
bridge that you
Twinkle.
might want to make that it just got into my head is that one of the outreach programs you do is work with women in prison, and that was surprised
We
me
love that.
because you were discovering all kinds of issues that they particularly needed help in, and a twinkle approach, as I start to call it, would be so important because they had some very strange ideas. I mean, you were telling me that they thought cancer was contagious. So, I mean, you might share a little bit about what you're doing with women prisoners.
Okay. Well, let me share how it started, and then I'll have Sharon kind of share where it's evolved to. When we first started going there, it was 10 years ago, and one of the nurses from the prison came by our office and asked if we would be willing to help provide support to some of the women in the prison who have been diagnosed with cancer. She said that every other group she reached out to see if they would help, and I'm not going to name names, but they're pretty big organizations. They were told, no, they don't provide support to prisoners. And, we talk about underserved populations. Well, there is one. So to us, it was a kind of a no-brainer. And so we actually went through the whole process to get licensed and get all that. So we started there 10 years ago, and we started by offering a support group within the prison where women could come in and kind of share their experience. And we did that for quite a while, several years. That was in 2006. And then somewhere around maybe 2010, maybe it was 5-6 years ago, Sharon?
Yeah.
We switched gears a bit because that wasn't enough. And we found a whole lot of other stuff missing. So Sharon, I'm gonna let you tell that part.
Well, and again, from a cancer survivor's perspective, one of the things that is really affected is your self-esteem. And as women, I think all of us can use a boost in our self-esteem on occasion. And so, but when you're, daily is actually probably true. But in a prison environment, of course, those women have been caught up in some bad stuff and made some poor choices. And most of them have had boundary issues, and that's all self-esteem stuff. So when we developed the self-esteem program here at Breast Friends, we decided to offer it at the women's prison. And oh my goodness, it has been an amazing program. We meet both in medium, which is women don't have maximum security. So
kind of their maximum, yeah.
It's kind of their maximum. And then they have their minimum. So we actually do one session in the morning in one and one session in the afternoon in the other. And we have probably 25 to 30 women in each one of those classes, and they are amazing. And again, getting these women who are not terribly trusting anyway, to be able to open up and to talk about some pretty interesting topics and be able to share with their peers in the prison system and with us is pretty remarkable. And again, we've made some nice inroads, I think, in helping those women with those issues.
A lot of people ask us too, why do you care about the inmates, and why why self-esteem at the prison? Well, there's a couple things. First off, we care about them because they're women. That's important because, you know, we all make mistakes and we never ask them what they did or why they're there. It's not of our concern. We're there to provide support and help however we can. But the reason we are there as breast friends is because going back to our original, you know, roots of trying to teach the friends and family how to support their loved ones during the journey. When an inmate gets diagnosed with cancer, they can't call their friends and say, hey, I just got diagnosed. Would you guys come over? I'm really brokenhearted. I don't know what to do. So we thought, well, if we can do this, we can teach the inmates how to become that support system to their fellow inmates. The problem is you can't give what you don't have. So in order to provide significant support in a way that's felt and cared about, they have to care about themselves first. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of, we always equate it to when you're on an airplane and the oxygen mask drops down, they tell you to put it on yourself first before you try to help others. Yeah. It's the same thing. So since we've been going there have been a couple really cool things. They've developed a hospice program because we have lost some of the inmates to cancer inside the prison. And some of our women that have gone through our program are on the hospice program. And then the other thing that we help do in the prison is we worked with a local facility that has a mammography van that they can bring on site. And we found out women were not getting their routine mammograms because what they had to go through to get one was embarrassing and shameful, and they just didn't want to go through it. So we reached out to the facility that has that van and said, would you guys be comfortable going into the women's prison and doing mammograms there? And it took a year. They said yes, but it took a year of red tape and mess to get that to happen. But now the mam van's been going there since I think maybe 2007 or 8, and they go every month as long as they have 15 or 16, ish women that they can do mammograms for. So more women are getting their routine mammograms, and we had a big hand in making that happen. So, we love going there. And my husband always jokes that I've been in and out of prison for 10 years now. And but it's we just do it once a month, and it's such a special day, when we go do that. And we're teaching them all about the Twinkle. In fact, our whole subject recently has been about the Twinkle and leaving a legacy and all of that. And I think some of them have never thought that they could actually leave something that mattered, and now they know they can. So it's really, it's just such an uplifting thing.
Amazing outreach program. Yeah. But then that doesn't surprise me. You're an amazing team. So, I mean, amazing team do amazing things.
The dynamic duo, right?
Exactly. Look at that. We've gone through an hour already. I mean, as we said, we could go on forever and ever, but maybe we could just hang in after the recording. We'll get off the air and keep some of the conversation going, because I know we have some shy people in the audience.
Okay.
But let me pass it over to Haley to make her closing remarks, and then back to you, and then over to me. So over to Haley.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, Becky and Sharon, it just was such a pleasure to meet you, to hear what you're doing. Dave, I tell you this all the time, but I'm grateful for this platform. We're getting so many amazing people together, cancer survivors who have done incredible things and are inspiring others every day. And so I'm honored to be a part of it. I just want to quickly mention my website. It's revivewellness.com. And whoever's interested can go get my 7 top tips to keep cancer away. Make sure you put that
in the text chat area so that they've got your link. And final comments from Becky and Sharon.
Well, we're just honored to have been invited to be on your show today. Thank you so much for everybody who's listening. And if we can be of assistance, please reach out to us. It's breastfriends.org. We'd love to hear from you. I'm selfish plug. If you're looking for a speaker, check out BeckyOlson.com, because I do a lot of speaking around the country, and I would love to hear from you. So give me a call, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. And thanks again, you guys, for letting us be on the show.
There you go. I'm so grateful that you guys had time, because I know your schedule is swamped. And for those who have been listening, they've been busy women. They've got so much going on. And we had another 5 questions all set up to talk to them that we haven't addressed. So I've got to bring them back on to carry on the conversation. conversation because as they just mentioned, they're doing other things. Can you imagine that? They have other things that they're doing other than breast friends in their own life. You got a sense that Becky's on a professional stage as a speaker, and you can imagine what it'd be like to be in an auditorium with her on the platform. And it'd be a lot of fun.
We do have fun.
And Sharon is that very, intense, personal, supportive life coach that she's doing on top of the work that she's doing with breast friends. So we've got to move into that. And one of the other aspects that intrigued me is one of the topics that you have asked me as an audience is, let's talk about spirituality. Let's talk about where God or our belief structure, our something bigger than us comes in dealing with cancer. And Becky and Sharon have a perspective on that we touched on, and hopefully on a future broadcast will come in. So I hope you all will agree this was an amazing hour. We're really so grateful for the two of you. Thank you very much for being here. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Cancer Coop said, Dave, you know their name, but thank you. Oh, yes. Thanks, everyone, for your insights today, Becky and Sharon. I'll be in PDX the last weekend of May. It would be fun to connect and see how we can work together.
You made a whole bunch of new friends, because I know some of the people in the list and some of the other ones that haven't come on that are there. It's very important to connect with you. And that's what we're trying to do every week. Every Wednesday at 3 p.m., we try to present the resources, bring people on that are interesting. I'm really excited about next week's show because my original co-host, Sheila Schuster, is coming back to visit us. And one of her topics was self-care. And we're setting that up to come on next week on a different twist than we've had in the past. But it's going to be another, wonderful show. We've had so many great guests. And I thank you all in the audience for coming every week. Without you, we really wouldn't have a show. So it's terrific that you're here every week to support us. We're trying to make a difference one voice at a time. And, we'll eventually, have a ripple effect as all of us are helping other people help people. It's an amazing journey we're all on. So thank you all for listening. Hope you all come back next Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, where we'll carry on the conversation on coping with cancer. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.